Which 2026 wide receivers could be the next big stars in the NFL? Stay tuned as we rank our top 10 prospects from this year's class. Ryan, another position group where I didn't know what to expect walking in, but I was blown away by how many highly graded guys I have at receiver. I'm not saying we've got a bunch of all pros, but it feels like we're shaping up to have a pretty talented group and some names that could go from day two guys and turn into first rounders come this upcoming April.
This is an interesting one, Joe, because we haven't talked about this wide receiver class outside of we've texted about player X, player Y, just kind of some general thoughts and stuff, but we haven't talked about the entirety of the class. I would call this a day two heavy draft. Would you agree with that it's a day two heavy draft? Okay. I think that I have a pretty high volume of players that are graded as day two players, and then obviously a ton of day three players, so rounds 4 through 7. I only have one first round grade of this group, though. First round grade. So it's not a crazy top heavy class. I think that this is it's a toolsy, talented group that has potential, but I do think there's I don't know if I would call it boomer bust quality, but there is a world where this kind of becomes a very average class, or it can be a slightly above average class. I think that those are probably the two universes where we're living in right now.
We've kind of created this theme with a lot of the position groups where we go in a little blind once we start watching players, and the theme that I think we've had every time is, hey, there's all these guys that have traits, a lot traicier than last year at certain position groups, that if they step up to the plate, their production boosts. There's just a lot of variables that could really help some of these guys rise. There's a world where I think I could see 5, 6 of these guys end up in the first round.
Wow, that many? I would say.
Okay, sorry, wait. Let me. There are 5 to 6 guys that I think if they all hit and they all jump forward, they all have the tools of what I would consider to be a mid to late first round receiver. Okay. I don't see a premier top 10 guy. That's the biggest thing that I think needs to be established.
Yeah, no, the one first round grade I have is more of a mid to late round first round grade. So it's kind of more of the bucket that I live in. I would say off of the potential to be first rounders, I think there's 3 that I see right now where I'm that could be a first rounder. So it's not like you're slightly higher on this class than me, but we also are living in the same ballpark, the same neighborhood. We're not crazy far apart. It doesn't feel like.
Right. All right. I'm going to start us off here with my 10 through 6. Number 10, Denzel Boston from Washington. Number 9, Jaden Greathouse from Notre Dame. Okay. Number 8, Zachariah Branch from Georgia. Number 7, Jacoby Lane from USC. And number 6, Chris Bell from Louisville.
Man, I don't know where to start with that one. There's a couple guys in there that I am not very fond of. So I don't know how to go about
let's just keep things positive. Yeah. Let's keep things positive.
Let's keep things positive. I am going to bring up Jaden Greathouse in a minute. So if you want to start the conversation off with Jaden Greathouse, that might be an easier Actually, no, let's not go there first.
Yep.
I'm going to talk about Chris Bell at some point in this podcast as well. Let's talk about Zachariah Branch, because he is outside of my top 10. Obviously, we're talking about the USC to Georgia transfer. Dynamite, former 5-star athlete, great punt returner at USC, especially when he was a true freshman. The receiving production there right now, Joe, is not there. It just has not been there for Zachariah Branch. But why are you buying into Mr. Branch?
I felt like when I was watching him, he was one of those guys that was really buried in a super deep receiving room, and it makes a lot more sense why he transferred now. When you go back and watch the film, it's man, they're targeting Lemon, they're targeting Lane. Yep. He gets really, really pushed down lower and lower on the totem pole, so it just didn't create a lot of opportunities for him. I think at Georgia, where they need explosive receiving impact, he's going to be able to step up a lot more. He is somebody who, you scheme him touches, you try to find ways to get him the ball near the line of scrimmage. He's somebody who I would motion into the backfield. I would throw him screens. I would give him jet sweeps. And I think he can translate to being really productive in the NFL as just a spark plug, slot receiver, gadget type of a guy. I think that there is a path to him being successful as a second or third receiver in an offense. I'm not going to compare him to Tyreek Hill, but I think like the prototype and the usage that the Dolphins and then at one point the Chiefs got out of him, the right team taking him gets really good production out of him. But I don't want to just put a lot of his issues on his shoulders. It didn't feel like a good fit this last year with USC as other guys started to emerge and to play better.
Yeah, man, I feel like he's just like a what if guy right now, right? Like obviously he's fascinating. Yeah. He's incredibly fast, explosive. He has like that big playability. I don't know. He's small, doesn't win through contact incredibly well, hasn't been overly productive. You know who he reminds me of? And this is not a good thing. It's not a good thing. But there is some Mecole Hardman to his game a little bit. There's a little bit of Mecole Hardman.
It's not a bad comparison. Well, Hardman at times was very productive and was a really good receiver for the Chiefs.
Game-winning touchdown in a Super Bowl, right? So, yeah, sure, yeah.
And other locations where he's tried to go to, he hasn't exactly worked out. But that's what I'm getting at is he's circumstance-specific where he needs to get the right chances to shine. Okay. What is your 10 through 6?
Yep, so I think the Jaden Greathouse conversation is going to start right away out of this top 10. From my 10 to 6 here, Jaden Greathouse is number 10 for me, wide receiver from Notre Dame. I then have Eugene Wilson III, also called Trey Wilson, out of Florida. I have Antonio Williams out of Clemson at number 8, Number 7, Aaron Anderson from LSU. Number 6, I have Deion Burks, the former Purdue Boilermaker, who's going into his second year with the Oklahoma Sooners.
Damn, there's a bunch of guys you just named that I said this to you before the show. I was like, I watched a lot of guys, and I didn't get to everybody. There's two guys that I wish I got to over. I wish I didn't waste my time watching Bryce Lance. I'm just gonna be just.
Oh wait, can we have the conversation real quick? Can we do that conversation real quick? I know we don't want to be negative here, but can we do the Bryce Lance thing real quick?
Yeah, He has a really wonky, slow release, a lot of wasted movement, and that was like a big no for me. That was a big I can't get behind this. He's getting like covered by some slow FCS receivers, and I'm not saying he's slow, but I think he doesn't do himself a lot of service because there's a lot of things that need to get fixed.
He is. I watched the Montana State game, which was one of his his most productive game. I think he had like 9 catches, over 100 yards, a couple touchdowns.
Yeah.
Like he was very productive. His releases are horrible. Like they're horrible. Forget about even the slow.
He low and then shrinks and then lunges. He wastes so much time getting off the ball.
Even outside of that, he's a big receiver and he gets killed against press, man. He got pressed into the sideline a couple of times. Like he does not do good with physicality at line of scrimmage. Like he's not strong. It's so weird. Or at least he doesn't know how to use his strength. I don't know which one it is. I do think he's a springy athlete. Like he's a pretty explosive kid when he gets going and everything, but he just has no physicality. He can't play through contact. I did not get the Bryce Lance thing at all. Did not get it.
I didn't tap into Deion Burks because he was super banged up last year, so it was kind of one of those ones where I put him lower down, and I wanted to try and get to him before we taped, but I didn't. I was super high on him when he was at Purdue, and he transferred to Oklahoma. So I see the path for him still being a day 2 pick this upcoming year. Aaron Anderson, I want to talk about him before we get to Jaden Greathouse.
Yep.
I just watched him, and I'm kind of pissed I didn't keep him in my. I'm pissed I didn't bump Boston out and then put Anderson in because I really liked him. He's a fun little feller, man. He's a fun little guy. He's a little feller. He's a really, really explosive little dude who he might be like 5'7" and change, and he's like 180 pounds and change. Not big at all. The thing with him, really quickly before I let you go on him, he's not perfect. He's got like this really big impact capability with him separating and with the ball in his hands. Awful ball security and also hand strength. Just like really bad at hanging on to the football. There was a really bad fumble against Baylor in the bowl game. But I watched the South Carolina game and I saw a couple big plays, a really nice play against the sideline where he tracks it, gets just a little bit of separation, and he comes down with it. But the whole time I was thinking, man, I don't like the way that they're using him. I really wish they were using him differently. I would use him as that piece that I would screw with the opposing defense. I would motion him all over the place. I would move him in any different location. He's another guy I'd bring into the backfield just to confuse a defense of like, if we don't pay attention to where he moves, we're potentially giving up a big play. The Baylor game, they did that. And I thought that was where we saw a much bigger impact. And I think this coming year, he's going to have a really big season.
Well, he's a short to intermediate separator because of the size, obviously. Like you said, Joe, we don't have a verified number on him because he is still technically an underclassman, so he could go back for 2 more years if he wanted to. I don't know why he will, but he is listed at 5'8", 180 pounds, but he is so quick. Really good out of breaks, man. Easy acceleration out of breaks, and he's dynamite with the football in his hand in the open field. So I love Aaron Anderson, the football player, man. Like, he was, because he was, I don't know if you remember, but he was at Alabama originally, and he was the one when he transferred to LSU and he didn't play a ton in 2023. He was the one where Saban said something, I forget if it was on the sideline or whatever. It was like a little conversation where he was like, oh, you should have stayed at Alabama. You would have got more opportunities or something like that. Well, he got his opportunities last year outside of obviously Kyron Lacey, the late Kyron Lacey. He was their best receiver last year, and he is just, I think he is, in a wide receiver room that has so much talent, right? You talk about Berrien Brown, you talk about Nick Anderson, Chris Hilton Jr. is very talented when he's healthy. I think Aaron Anderson's the glue to that room, man. Like, he's the dependable guy. I think despite him being a smaller guy, I could see him being Garrett Nussmeier's safety blanket this year. Like, I need a guy on 3rd and 4 to convert for me. I'm going to hit this guy on a pivot routes. Like, I'm going to find him in space, throw him a screen, let him get some work in the open fields. I like Aaron Anderson a lot. He's a fun player.
Quickly to touch on Jaden Greathouse before we move on to the top 5s here. He was one of these guys who I classified as smoother than fast. I don't know if he's going to be like a true burner. I'm curious what that 40 time is going to be, but he was the epitome of smooth. That's going to be something I talk about a lot with a lot of these players that I liked. Really nice transitions in his routes, super quick feet. We saw him completely break the ankles of 2 Penn State defenders on that really important touchdown that he had in the Orange Bowl. I think that as he emerged late in the season, didn't do a whole lot at the beginning of the year. It kind of showed, hey, if this guy gets more targets and he becomes the primary weapon for whoever's starting at quarterback for Notre Dame this year, there's a lot of potential for that passing game. There's a lot of potential for him to rise in this class or maybe the 2027 class.
I think when you went against the 2 most talented teams you played all year, obviously, and that being, well, a fully healthy Penn State is more talented than what Georgia was last year, but I don't want to have that debate on this podcast right now. But Penn State and Georgia, the final 2 games of the year, he had 13 receptions for over 230 yards and 3 touchdowns. That matters to me, Joe, right? Like, he showed up against probably the best secondary in college football last year. Like, Notre Dame has an argument, Texas has an argument, but like Ohio State's secondary is littered with tons of NFL talent this past year, and no one could cover him. Whether it was Jordan Hancock or beating Caleb Downs in the open field and breaking a tackle, like, he was phenomenal in that Ohio State game, especially 6'1", 210 pounds. He's very physical. He can win at the catch point. He can do the back shoulder stuff, but he's a precise route runner, man. Really good. I think he's a big slot in the NFL because I don't think he has great long speed, so I don't think he's going to win outside a ton, but is in a short area, after catch type of role, the ability to play physically through contact. I think that Jaden Greathouse presents a very high floor on the NFL level.
All right, jumping to number 5. I've got Antonio Williams from Clemson, who you just mentioned there.
Yep.
There are a lot of similarities between the guys that I liked in this class. On the smaller side, 5'11", 190 is what Clemson had him listed at. Great linear athlete. I think that he's pretty good separator over the top. Really great feet. Super shifty. I think that he breaks out of his cuts really well and picks up speed very easily. I also thought that, along with that change of direction, shows some pretty good body control as a route runner to contort his body, as well as to track the football. There was one play against Texas where he just makes a really fantastic, toe tap catch on the sideline. So there's just so much to work with here with Antonio Williams. I don't know if I ever really see him becoming this crazy, super productive wide receiver 1 in the NFL. But if he was a team's 800-yard wide receiver 2 or better than that, I wouldn't be shocked.
No, he gives me, I don't think they're exactly the same player, but he gives me Christian Kirk vibes on the NFL level, where it's like at Christian Kirk's peak, he was a 70-catch, 900-something yard receiver, right, for the Jaguars. Like, he's a conventionally, at least in a vacuum, a good wide receiver 2 in the NFL level. And I think that's what Antonio Williams ends up being most likely. I think he's going to be a starting slot in the NFL. And I think that he has the upside to be a 2nd or 3rd option in a passing attack. Like, I do think that he has that type of upside. He's a pretty strongly built slot receiver that can win through contact in the middle of the field. He's not going to win at the catch point a ton, but like through contact, navigating space, I think that he can do that stuff. And I mean, he's just really smooth, man. Gets in and out of breaks well, good in the open field. Like, I think that Antonio Williams, sort of like our conversation with Jaden Greathouse a minute ago, just a really easy floor to like as a good player. Maybe he doesn't have the ceiling of a couple other guys, but a really attractive floor.
All right, who you got at 5?
Carnell Tate, Ohio State. Joe, I like Carnell Tate, but I don't love Carnell Tate admittedly. So here's what I like. He reminds me a lot of Robert Woods from a movement perspective. He's going to be probably about 6'2", 200 pounds. I would call him not necessarily straight line fast, but I would call him very sleek and smooth. Like, that's the things that pop out to me about Carnell Tate. He gets at the top speed at a good rate. I think that he's very crisp and smooth getting in and out of breaks. And I think he's just got a really smooth nature to him as a route runner and after the catch. So, like, I think there's a lot of cool things. Like, he's that guy that I think in a West Coast system, like, he's running a ton of just shallow crossers. Like, that's his game. I think that is where he accentuates his strengths best. He's got a good catch radius. I think he mostly has good hands, but there are some bad concentration drops on film. So that's one thing about Carnell Tate that troubles me. And I'll also say this, Joe. I don't think that he's as good in the air as I would think he would be, considering the catch radius he has. Like, I thought that he would be better attacking the football, locating the football. Like, that's not really a great part of his game right now. So I think that there's rounding out that needs to happen, going from a true sophomore to a true junior season. He's got Brian Hartline, so I expect him to take a sizable jump in 2025. But this is definitely not a finished product like some Ohio State kids are going into their last year.
He's wide receiver 3 for me, but I have the same. I bet we have like the same grade on him. I obviously don't have a first round grade on him if he's at wide receiver 3 for me. He is going to be the guy just like Emeka Egbuka was this last year that's just always going to be planted in the middle of this wide receiver conversation, that you know that you're getting a pretty good football player, a pretty high floor football player. We're talking about a lot of similarities, around these guys. And I think that they should use him in the way that Emeka Egbuka was used last year. I think that is going to create more opportunities for him to win. Yep. Doesn't have the long speed that I'm looking for a guy that is going to win along the sideline and it's going to take the top off of a defense. But he's still a really refined, underrated route runner on deep routes. There was one play, I forget which game it was. It might have been Nebraska, where he's running a post route and he just does this really subtle fake to the outside, back to the inside, and that is enough to draw a defender away. Like, those little intricacies, I think, is what makes Carnell Tate a savvy, great football player, which we're always going to get with these Ohio State guys. The drops are where I have concern, and I would hope more exposure and more chances and targets. Maybe he starts to improve there. But if that cleans up, he is like a really easy, projectable boom. This guy's going in the second round. I feel comfortable with it. If my team drafts him, he ends up just being a super reliable, consistent starter.
Do you like the Robert Woods comp? Like, I don't know why.
Yeah, I do, and I said this when we did the video on him not that long ago, that was a really easy comp for him.
His body type is just very similar. His play style is very similar. His gaits is very similar. Like, I feel like he runs like Robert Woods, and that's not a negative at all. It's just like he's got a little bit of that long strider, smooth thing going on, right? So, like, yeah, I like that comp. I think that Carnell Tate has a lot of upside, but I do think that, like, I think some people are going to have him at wide receiver 1, wide receiver 2 in this class potentially, and like I feel like I haven't seen that many takes. I think it's going to slowly turn into that where no one's talking about him, but the minute he gets drafted, everyone's like, yeah. Well, okay. and it's he went with the first pick in the second round. Okay, with the last pick in the first round. Sure. You make a good point though. Is that I actually thought that the wide receiver 1 Carnell Tate stuff would be a little bit higher this time of year, because I just typically think that the helmet scouting thing comes into effect, right? It's like, oh, Ohio State wide receiver, he's wide receiver 1. And it's just like maybe that's the Jeremiah Smith effect, where they're just like, that's actually wide receiver 1. You know what I mean? But yeah.
Okay, all right. I'm probably going to screw up your list here. Number 4 for me is Makai Lemon from USC. Explosive, super, super explosive. He's a guy that is able to pick up speed in a hurry, and I love the instincts that he presents not only as a route runner and finding space, but also finding space after the catch. He is really, really good at navigating everything that's happening around him and being able to find, like, how do I pick up speed? How do I end up creating that big play as tacklers are bearing down on him. The only thing that kind of bugged me on Lemon, I didn't think he had great play strength. I think that impacted his ability to make contested catches. And he's one of these smaller guys that just gets bodied by tacklers. So the minute that he gets contacted, he's going down. But everything else there, the athleticism is enough for me to buy in as a route runner, as a guy with the ball in his hands, and in any facet that you're going to get him the rock.
Yeah, no, he is a slot preferred player. He's number 3 for me, by the way. So Makai Lemon comes in at number 3.
Okay, so we're not far off.
No, not too far off. He is a slot preferred player, though, that I think can play Z, because I do think that I don't know if his long speed is great, but you know what is really good, Joe? When the football is in the air and he has to track the football down the field, he has good acceleration down the field. So he can accelerate to the catch really, really well, which makes him an appealing vertical player, even though I don't think that he's not going to be like a 4.38 kid. Like, it's just not going to be what he is. But I think it's enough. But I love, first and foremost, the kid is a great route runner. Maybe the best route runner on this list. I think, like, he's up there, man. Like, with like an Aaron Anderson, maybe. Like, he gets in and out of his breaks incredibly, incredibly well. I love the way he changes direction. But my favorite thing about him, and again, downfield acceleration, can play a little bit inside and out, really good route runner. He is by far, in my opinion, the smartest receiver on this list that I've watched this summer.
Yep.
By far.
Yep.
Which is crazy because he was, a sophomore this year? Like a true sophomore, right? Wasn't he? Like,
yeah.
He was in this, because I think he's in the same class as Zachariah Branch, right? So, like, he was a true sophomore, but despite that, he understands spacing, zone, like how to settle against zone and where to find open space and how to attack leverage better than any wide receiver that I've watched this summer so far. This kid is the absolute technician from an IQ and nuance perspective. He finds space, he settles, he manipulates defenders, he manipulates zone coverage. Like, I love everything about Makai Lemon. Another player that, will Makai Lemon ever be a number 1 receiver in the NFL? Probably not. But what he is going to be, I think, is a high-end number 2. Like, I think he's still going to be a 70, 80 catch, 900, 1,000-yard receiver at his peak in the NFL, because I think he just understands how to play the game so well, and he has enough athleticism overall, especially from that vertical uncovering perspective, to be a really dynamic player in the NFL level.
I think you summed him up perfectly. The IQ thing is what stood out to me the most, and we've got a lot of guys that kind of have this similar build, these smaller, shiftier guys that are going to win in the slot, but having that savviness is super underrated. Who do you have at number 4?
Number 4, I have Eric Singleton Jr. from Auburn, the Georgia Tech transfer. I just talked about the most savvy player on the list, Joe. I'm probably right now talking about the fastest player on the list. I mean, Eric Singleton has a chance. He's probably going to run like 4.32, but he's going to be a shouting distance away from 4.2 something. Like, he has incredible speed that he brings to the table. He can win short, intermediate, and has the ability to separate deep. Solid after the catch. Not as dynamic after the catch as a couple other guys, but good after the catch. But this is your vertically oriented slot Z receiver that can move around a little bit, some short motions to get him to maximize releases. But this kid is lightning in a bottle and understands also, despite him being a straight line guy, he can throttle well and he can get in and out of breaks. Like, he's a quick dude as well. So I'm interested to see what the production looks like, because Haynes King is a good college quarterback for Georgia Tech. Really tough kid, great runner. But also, Haynes King is not a very good quarterback. Like, he's just not. Like, he's not a natural thrower of the football. He's just not. I mean, we've seen the memes of him throwing the ball right over his head and stuff. And, like, the kid's just not a natural thrower. He's a playmaker. He's going to a different situation in Auburn, where I would argue, again, the quarterback position might not be great for Auburn this year, potentially. Like, it might not be. But one thing that he has now is he's got Cam Coleman near him, which Cam Coleman's going to take a lot of attention away from Eric Singleton, and I want to see him with more one-on-one coverage. He played with Malik Rutherford at Georgia Tech, who was a good wide receiver, but Malik Rutherford is not a guy that defenses fear the way that they're going to fear number 8 for Auburn this year with Cam Coleman. So I'm very interested to see if Eric Singleton takes advantage of a lot more one-on-one opportunities this year.
I had Singleton at wide receiver too. I'm just obsessed with the speed that you just talked about there. I think that coming from a situation, I know that Haynes King improved his completion percentage and limited his turnovers from 2023 to 2024. He got better, but as you just said there, this was an offense that was built off of running the football. It was not about getting Singleton touches, even though they did a pretty decent job of accomplishing that. He still finds so many ways to turn a little bit of yardage, just a simple route into a huge game because he can separate from anybody. So I really like Singleton. I think that this chance, like we saw Keandre Lambert-Smith last year, was pretty productive, quietly productive at Auburn. Mm-hmm. You get a chance to throw Singleton into this, and he is far more explosive and consistent than Lambert-Smith was, who was already a pretty explosive guy. Mm-hmm. I think that there's such a high ceiling for the transformation that we get from Singleton. So I'm super excited about him. We've both given our 4 through 3, so I'm gonna throw to you to give me your number 2.
You mentioned him. I'm just considerably higher on him, it appears. Chris Bell from Louisville is wide receiver 2 for me right now, Joe. We have verified on him, okay? Verified. 6'1.5" and 227 pounds. My boy is thick. He's a thick young man playing the wide receiver position. But despite him being so big, Joe, he gets on and breaks easy, man. Like, he's got some easy change of direction for a kid his size. But the thing that caught my attention was when I was scouting Louisville going into the Notre Dame game. This kid, it was just like a shallow cross. It may have been mesh. Like, they were just trying to get him on a cross or open into space. And this young man at 227 pounds caught a short pass and accelerated and destroyed a safety's angle. I think at 225, whatever he ends up weighing in at, maybe closer to 220, this kid could run 4.4 flat at his size, which is a bonkers number for as big as he is. This is a better route runner than you expect, physical, gets out of breaks well, but man, this kid can run for his size as well. So now that Ja'Cory Brooks is gone, I think a lot more of the attention is going to go to Chris Bell. And Chris Bell is very liked around the NFL, by the way. So I think a lot of people are expecting a little bit of a breakout this year. He's raw in some ways, but I am betting on the athlete here. I am a huge fan of Chris Bell out of Louisville.
He kind of reminds me of A.J. Brown in a way.
Fair. Body type
the way that he's built, the way that he plays, the way that he wins. He is not – I had him at wide receiver 6, but like I had all of those guys that I just mentioned in my – 4 through 6. They all 4 through 7. I had the same exact grade on, about the same grade in the same range. The thing with him that's very underrated, he doesn't look super fast because he's so big. He doesn't pick up speed like in an instant, super quickly out the gate. But he is one of those players on deep routes that he just slowly builds up, and then he's able to free himself and he's able to make a big play. The thing that gets me super excited is that the athleticism coupled with the strength is how he's going to be a really dominant guy on the outside. Mm-hmm. I see somebody who catches the ball and he's barreling through people like he's a power back. And then the other part about this is he's able to use that body of his to win through contact. He's got super reliable, strong hands. I've seen him some Elijah Surratt hype, which I'm not in on him. I think that if I'm going for the bigger guy with the really reliable, strong hands, I'm going to turn to Chris Bell over Surratt because there's just such a glaring difference in their athleticism.
Yep, I think the cool thing about Chris Bell too is I think that there's more to him as a like he did some stuff after catch this year. But so I don't think he's ever going to have like the Debo role where you're giving him like legit handoffs in the backfield. But I am dreaming of him in San Francisco with Kyle Shanahan with the screen game, RPO, end arounds, like that type of stuff, man. I am dreaming of him just getting a little bit more of an opportunity in space at times. Dreaming of it.
I might need to put an embargo on using the word Debo Samuel to describe a receiver. And it's not because of you. It's just like every media outlet describes every
it's the role, man. It's the
receiver. Debo's fine. I think that we let one good season from Debo make us think that he was like
no. We're talking about the role, Joe. We're talking about the role.
I know. I'm sick of hearing Debo's name. Is all I'm saying.
Wait until he has his revival in Washington this year. You're gonna get really sick of it, I guess.
Sure. Wide receiver 1 for both of us is clearly Jordyn Tyson from Arizona State. I love Jordyn Tyson, man. I think that if there is a player that goes on to actually becoming like an 1,100 yard to 1,500 yard receiver in the NFL, I know that's kind of like a wide range, It's going to be Jordyn Tyson. He does everything so well. He's going to be, I think, a low 4.4 guy. I think he is going to be somebody who tests
he might be a high
super
4.4
well.
guy. He might be a high 4.3 guy. I don't know, man.
Yeah,
He's
he might be
fast.
might be faster than that, which is even crazier to consider. But I'm trying to be a little conservative here. Hands are super reliable. Yep. He is really efficient as a route runner. He will separate in any area that you need him to. And the negatives for him aren't strong enough for me to be like, oh yeah, this is going to hold him back. Play strength could be a little bit better, but it's not a huge detriment. Hands could be a little bit better in contested situations, but again, not a huge detriment. Everything that I like in a number one receiver in my offense, that's what Jordyn Tyson can provide.
So here's the one negative on Jordyn Tyson. Here's the one.
Okay.
His injury history's not the best. Like, that's a little scary, right? Like, he missed, I think, the entirety of 2 years ago, or just about the entirety of it, and then he got banged up at the tail end of last year as well. So, like, he's missed some games in his career. Actually, I think he originally started his career at Colorado, if I remember correctly. So he was at Colorado, and then he transferred. I love Jordyn Tyson, though, and I'm still betting on the athlete. This kid is sleek, quick, and incredibly fast. Like, his downfield acceleration is pretty nutty as well. Like, he can uncover vertically so well. He can run routes. I think he's decent in a crowd too. Like, he can play through contact well enough where I think that he can project to playing as an X role. I think he can play a Z. Like, I don't think it really matters in alignment perspective. I think he can do a little bit of everything. But I mean, you mentioned it last year, Joe. When he was healthy, he was putting defensive backs in a blender all year, it felt like, right? And year 2 with Sam Levitt now as a starting quarterback, I think that we're going to see a maturation from Levitt as a passer. And if Tyson's healthy, I think this offense is going to shift a little bit, man. So you lose Scottaboo, you bring in Kanye Udo, who's the dive back from Army last year. Maybe he's very good and he takes, whatever. I don't know how good Udo is going to be. But I do think that this offense is going to be more of a passing offense than what we saw last year. A lot more pass heavy than a year ago because of Scottaboo. And Jordyn Tyson, despite that, still had like 1,200 yards last year, even though missing the last couple games of the season. So I think that he's a young man that, if healthy, is going to have a huge year. He is my only wide receiver that is graded with a true first-round grade right now. If there is a wide receiver that ends up going top 15 in the 2026 NFL draft class, it is Jordyn Tyson, in my opinion. Yeah.
Absolutely. If that's, I think, the best way to put this is that he has the highest potential and one of the higher floors. I don't think that he'll ever really... I don't know if he fits into the prolific category sometimes we spot with some of these receivers. Like, he's not a Jamar Chase type of a guy. He's just,
who he is? Can I give a comp? It's not a perfect comp, but I'm saying a comp to, at their peak, production and just how we think of them in the NFL. I think Brandon Ayuk is a guy that I look at, because Brandon Ayuk was like a 1,400-yard receiver. I think most people, when he's been healthy anyway, I know the injuries are starting to catch up to him now, but when he was healthy before the big contract, I think most people would have said, like, that's a top 10 receiver in the NFL. But nobody would have also said that he's a top 5 receiver in the NFL, right? Like, it wasn't quite to that level of hype, but I think most people would have agreed that, like, Brandon Ayuk is a very good football player before the injury, and I think that we could see something similar to a Jordyn Tyson, the vertically oriented player as well.
Folks, comment below. Did we miss anybody that we should have brought up on our top 10s? Hit that like button and subscribe. We'll talk to you guys later.